Hey guys, how's it going? This is Ryan with Firearm Reviews. Wanted to make a review today about a relatively new manufacturer to the US market, Optical USA or DI Optical USA. And up for review today is their EG1 red dot sight. It's fairly unique in the marketplace. You won't find too many red dot sights with a field of view this large. It's got a relatively small footprint. It's definitely not the smallest sight that you'll see out there, but typically with the smaller sights, you get a very small field of view. And so what DI Optical did with this sight was enlarge the window so that you don't feel like you're looking through a pipe when you're looking through the sight. Some of the features that you'll note on this sight, it's got 16 different settings with 8 different settings for daylight and 8 different settings for night vision. It's adjusted by a dial on the left side, in which also contains the battery, which is a CR2032. The elevation and windage adjustments are on the right side and flush mounted. They do require a small screwdriver or a coin. They do have very tactile clicks. They're not mushy. They click into place very nicely. It takes one click to move your point of impact 1 inch at 100 yards. So they are 1 MOA adjustments. Some people might find that that's not quite enough. I find it to be fine with the red dot sight. With any red dot, you're typically looking for a fast heads up type shooting style, not so much the precision that you might look for in a scope. One of the other unique features about this sight is that it's not a reflex sight. The LED actually fires from the bottom, kind of like an EOTech, and reflects off of the roof and then reflects back downwards on an angled prism, which then reflects back to your eye. One of the pitfalls of this, some might say, is that you can see the LED from the front. Very faint, very small. Not going to give away your position, in my opinion, by any means, but you can see it from the front. But it's because of this style setup that you get very, very little parallax error. It is considered a parallax-free sight. From what I've noticed, it's basically parallax-free at about 20 yards and beyond. But of course, no sight is truly parallax-free. You're always going to have parallax when you go to really close ranges. Another feature about this sight, which I really like, is that although you'll look through it and you'll see that there's a slight red coating to the front lens, when you're looking at your target, you don't see any blue shading like you typically do on red dot sights. The front lens is perfectly clear, and because of that, it's going to feel and look a lot like an EOTech. It does not discolor your sight picture whatsoever, which is really great in my opinion, because I don't like the shade of blue. The reason they actually do that is because they're trying to create more contrast between the dot and your target. The daytime brightness modes, you'll find yourself floating between number 13 and number 16. The lower brightness modes for daytime use is not really going to be that helpful on a sunny day. The reticle will wash out, so you'll find yourself using the brightest modes. In my opinion, the lower daytime use modes are going to be for nighttime or indoor use, where the brightness required isn't nearly as high. What I found in using this sight is that you get really fast heads-up target acquisition. The large field of view, it comes down to a personal preference. I personally like a large field of view. Some people find it can be distracting and just want to focus on the target, so they don't need to see a lot through the sight. But I think it's a really cool feature, and a lot of people, I'm sure, can appreciate that. The dot is nice and crisp. I didn't have any blooming effects unless you're indoors and you turn it all the way up, which of course every red dot sight is going to do. Aimpoint, EOTech, and all the rest of them. The construction of the sight is extremely robust. It's made from a solid piece of aluminum that's been milled out. and when you hold it, it is fairly substantial. It's not a lightweight red dot sight, but this is also a benefit because you can feel that it will be able to take a beating. The sight does come with rubber hoods that go on the front and the back, as you can see, and they are there to minimize reflections, and they work pretty well in all but the most extreme cases. If you just get the wrong angle of light behind you, it will reflect back off of the diopter lens, and you'll see some red reflections looking through the sight. But again, this really only happens when you have a light directly behind you. Battery life, depending on the brightness used, is between typical daylight time between 5,000 and 15,000 hours, which is better than a lot of sights out there, but by no means the best. So overall, would I use this sight? Yeah, absolutely, I would. I really like it. Again, the field of view is very unique. If you're the type of person that likes to talk about your gear, and you'll get a lot of looks with people asking what it is because it's not a very common looking sight. But in practical use, it's a red dot that does everything you will need and more. If you'd like to know more information about the Optical USA EG1 red dot sight, go ahead and go over to my website at FirearmReviews.net or click the link below where you can find more detailed information.